and check out my voice-activated hydraulics. Daewoo, bounce!
Hey, hope you guys are doing good today. We are going to be watching Forgotten Weapons, and today it's going to feature the gun of my people. I thought this would be kind of a fun one. I'm not super knowledgeable on the K1A1 or the K2, so I thought this would be maybe like a deeper dive for me into the gun itself. I know that it exists, but as far as like being super knowledgeable about it and the inside and like how we're gonna be able to kind of like see all the parts of it and everything, definitely am not. No, I'm not knowledgeable in that area, so I'm very, very excited for this one. If you do get a chance, I'd appreciate if you can leave a like and subscribe. It helps me out a bunch, and I will have Forgotten Weapons video linked in my description below, so be sure to go and like and subscribe to his channel. He does an amazing job. I really like all of his kind of explanations and the disassembling and just kind of going through the firearms. I really appreciate it. So be sure to give him lots of support. But all right, let's check out the Daewoo K1A1. All right, Daewoo K1A1.
Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com.
Hello.
I'm Ian McCollum, and I'm here today at the Rock Island Auction Company taking a look at some of the guns they're going to be selling in their upcoming February of 2018 regional auction. Specifically today, a Daewoo K1A1 carbine. This is a gun, there's a few misconceptions around this, and it's actually a really interesting amalgamation of a couple different designs, and the Daewoo K2 is as well. But the two are different guns, and one thing I just want to get out of the way first is a lot of people assume that the K1 and the K2 are like the 2 is a version of the 1 or the 1 is a version of the 2 because they have that similar designation. Well, that's not actually really the case. For Korean domestic manufactured, or rather for Korean military small arms, K is kind of a universal designation that's used. So the K1 is the carbine, the K2 is the rifle, and then there's plenty of others. They have, let's see, the K5 is a pistol. I believe the K4 is a heavy machine gun. So just because they use that letter K doesn't mean that they're actually similar in any way other than being Korean military firearms.
Okay, so I did a quick little Google search here because I was interested in some of these other K variants, weapons, or whatever. But the K5 that he mentioned, it does sound pretty cool. It looks pretty cool. I'll put a picture up so you guys can see if you haven't seen what one looks like. But it does say that like that one was kind of like a unique little pistol. Like it was the Daewoo K5, but I guess for us Americans over here, it's the K5 DP51. But it says it has a triple mode trigger. That's kind of cool. Fast action. It has an aluminum frame, so it's lightweight. That's kind of nice. Smith & Wesson mag compatible, so that's kind of cool. And it was serviced since 1989. It said it's issued to South Korean military officers, not cops. So that's actually kind of interesting. It says that, and the nickname is DP51 in civilian export markets. So I guess if you see that, then that's what it is. It's not a bad looking pistol though. I think it looks pretty cool. All right, well, good to know. Good to know. That is kind of cool though. I am Korean American. I have lived here basically my entire life, and so I have been trying to learn Korean things, I guess, from afar. So so if some of this stuff sounds very new to me, it's because it is.
Actually similar in any way other than being Korean military firearms. So with that out of the way, the K1 here was designed kind of to be a replacement for the grease gun. It is, in South Korean designations, a submachine gun. Think of this like the Russian designation of the AK as a submachine gun. While, yes, it fires the 5.56 NATO cartridge, it was actually designed to be used like a submachine gun, hence a relatively short barrel, although this one has been extended for import into the US without being an NFA registered weapon. The collapsing buttstock, and even the sights are kind of indicative of it being a submachine gun. We'll take a look at those in just a minute. The background to this comes from...
I think this is a cool looking gun though. I mean, for me personally, this is probably on my gun wall wish list. I I actually would really love one of these.
We'll take a look at those in just a minute. The background to this comes from, well, originally the South Korean army was largely armed with American weapons as a result of the Korean War. And they decided that they wanted to upgrade some things, for example, to get rid of these old 45 caliber grease guns and replace them with something more modern. Same with their infantry rifles. They had a lot of M1 Garands. And so first,
Okay.
the South Koreans acquired a license to manufacture M16A1s from Colt. Well, they purchased guns from Colt. Then they got a license to manufacture them, started manufacturing M16s. The Daewoo company did. Daewoo was a huge industrial conglomerate at the time that did everything from televisions to cars to small arms to probably all sorts of other things. They then started to develop their own indigenous rifle design, which makes sense if
I think this was like such a crazy thing too because like I knew like some stuff about Daewoo, but not everything about them. But it's kind of crazy how much they have done or like the kind of conglomerate that they really are. So I have this like list in front of me because I didn't want to forget, but so I know about the automobiles and the electronics. Like that was like one of the things that I knew that like Daewoo was a brand of. But the shipbuilding, I had no idea. It was Daewoo Shipbuilding and Marine Engineering, DSME. So they built commercial ships, oil tankers, and naval vessels. That's pretty cool. It says they were one of the world's largest shipbuilders by the 1990s. So I think that's kind of impressive. And then they were really involved with infrastructure, which I was not aware of either. So they built highways, bridges, skyscrapers all across Asia and the Middle East. And I think that that's pretty cool for, like for a company that makes firearms and microwaves and cars and heavy machinery and I mean it's like everything because I know they made excavators, cranes, like lots of industrial equipment. I mean it's like they like what weren't they doing, right? So it is kind of sad though that they did end up collapsing because of the Asian market collapse, but at least like some places are at least trying to keep the name alive. I think it got sold off to it just has like a bunch of different owners now, and they kind of operate under the Daewoo name, but they're not all like the same like Daewoo anymore. So for the firearms, it's Daewoo Precision Industries. So so like that was another part of Daewoo, but yeah, I don't know. It's like kind of sad to know that they're not just like the one big company anymore, but at the same time it's like I'm at least happy that it didn't completely die, that there's people that took it over, kept it alive, and we still get to see these firearms. So, and I think they're still making cars and they still make appliances as far as like in Korea. So, at least they're still going, and even if they're not all one thing anymore.
if you want to have a robust defense system, well, being able to make your own guns and not be dependent on another country is a good idea. So they put into development the K1 first and the K2 shortly after, and the two have substantially different operating systems despite having also a lot of parts in common. So let's start by taking a look at the inside of the K1 and see what exactly they put together for this rifle. Not surprisingly, a lot of the elements of this rifle or carbine were developed from the M16 platform because that's
Right.
what Daewoo had a lot of experience with at the time. However, they did introduce elements from other guns as well. So right off the bat, this originally had a 10.4-inch barrel, 263 millimeters. This one has been lengthened because this is a semi-automatic US import gun and has to have a 16-inch barrel on it.
Right.
The flash hider on these was changed early on in development. This was originally the K1 carbine with a different style of flash hider that they weren't really happy with. So they changed it to this more birdcage sort of style. That
I kind of like it. I guess I don't know what the original one looked like, but I like it. I like it. I think it looks good. I think this whole gun looks good.
hider that they weren't really happy with. So they changed it to this more birdcage sort of style. That became the K1A. And then K1A1 is one of the names for the imported semi-automatic guns. Now, obviously, you'll notice that it has a collapsing stock. It has a bolt handle on the right side like an AK. However, it does have an AR-15 style of gas system. Before we get in there, though, let's take a look at a few of the markings and controls. Manufacturer was Daewoo Precision Industries Limited. That company has since broken up, and I believe they are now the company that does rifle development or rifle manufacture in Korea now is S&T Motive.
I mean, at least it got sold to at least a like the right kind of company, to keep it going. As of 2021 to present, S&T Motive is what owns it now, and there is a U.S. headquarters in Vegas where they manufacture American versions of its iconic firearms, including the K1A and K2 rifles. So, I mean, hey, at least we got some manufacturing here. We're keeping the Daewoo name alive. So, as kind of like as sad as it is, at least we can at least keep seeing Daewoos.
Company that does rifle development or rifle manufacture in Korea now is S&T Motive. Lower receiver markings, kind of like
Made
you would
in
expect
Korea.
on an AR-15. Made in Korea, there's a serial number, and then this particular import version is referred to as an AR-110C. Fire selector is back here, right where you would expect it on an AR-15. However, instead of a 90-degree throw, it is a 180-degree throw to go between safe and semi-auto. Of course, on the military ones, there is a intermediate full auto position, and there are actually
I kind of like that. I mean, this looks fine.
some guys in the U.S. who make an aftermarket conversion to turn this into a 90-degree throw for guys who really want it to be super tactical.
That's also fair too. Like I get it, but that is kind of cool to see though.
Lastly, on the right side of the receiver, we have the import marks. The magazine release is also on this side, so works just like a mag release button. Standard
Right.
AR-15 magazines were used. Of course, the Korean military had plenty of these and was using them in other rifles at the time, so it makes a lot of sense. The front sight is just a plain round post that is screw adjustable for elevation. Note the little detent up in the front that locks it in place. And then the rear sight is adjustable for ranges from 100 out to 500 meters.
Oh, nice.
It is an aperture type rear sight, which is quite nice, with two separate apertures. There's a standard precision sight there. And then the other aperture is this really huge ghost ring sort of deal here. When I said this had sights relevant for a submachine gun, that's what I was referring to.
Yeah, right. That does seem very SMG-esque, I would say. But that is kind of cool though. I like it.
When I said this had sights relevant for a submachine gun, that's what I was referring to, because that is a really large aperture. And then last but not least, there is the retracting stock. There is a button right here that unlocks it and allows you to lock it open like so. There is a second position, which is quite a long length of pull.
Oh,
all the way out there.
I kind of like that though, that at least you have a little bit of adjustment, because I think the ones from the 70s, they just folded. It was a folding stock, and then so you didn't have like the two adjustments. So I think if you were a shorter limbed type of homie, you might be having a hard time. So but from my understanding though, and from looking at this, and obviously like from the rooftop Korean pictures, there's obviously been some other iterations that have been made throughout the years, decades, as far as like the gun as a whole has gone through, which makes sense, obviously. Especially because I know that these are still used in the Korean military today. So I know that it has gone through some improvements and some more modernization to them. But I like this, and I do appreciate an adjustable stock though, because as someone who is of not tall stature, I appreciate stuff like that. But it looks good. I mean, it looks good. It seems like it's pretty well made. But either way, I think it's a kind of a cool progression that we get to see kind of from the 70s, and you get to see like some of those pictures even before then, and then you kind of see the more modernized ones now. Like they still look very, very similar, but obviously, some things got a little bit of a facelift, or things made a little bit more sense, became a little bit more comfortable to use. So I definitely appreciate it.
Quite a long length of pull, all the way out there. And then the butt plate itself is actually kind of this nice, heavily thick checkered rubber butt plate. Seems, I don't know how well it would wear in the field, but does a nice job of gripping the shoulder. And I nearly forgot, there is also storage in the pistol grip. This is actually on the K2 rifles as well.
Oh,
You have
nice.
a little plastic container here
For cleaning.
with a compartment for cleaning supplies and a threaded little container with a brush for oil.
Nice. Nice.
Now on to
That's kind of convenient. That's kind of nice to have.
with a brush for oil. Now on to disassembly, which is really quite simple. First off, make sure that the stock is retracted so that it doesn't catch on this. Then just push the button and the upper
Just like
pivots
that.
up away from the lower.
Pretty simple.
If you want to completely separate the two halves, you can push out this front pin just like on AR-15. I'm going to leave that in for the time being. Then we can pull out the internals. We have a dual recoil spring guide. Bolt handle comes back to here. Handle comes out. Bolt and bolt carrier come out. And that's it for the internals.
That's pretty nice. Pretty straightforward. Pretty clean.
Bolt and bolt carrier come out.
I don't know why, but I like when people like assemble and or disassemble and reassemble. I just like that noise. Is that weird?
Handle comes out. Bolt and bolt carrier come out. And that's it for the internals. If you take off this screw right here, you can remove the handguard, which is nice to see the gas system. There we go.
There we go.
So the gas system itself is straight off the AR-15. It is a gas piston located inside the bolt carrier itself, which most people refer to as direct gas impingement. We have a gas tube running from the barrel up here all the way back into the receiver. There are a couple parts of this rifle that are actually directly interchangeable with the AR-15, but only a couple, specifically the trigger and the barrel nut, interestingly, of all things.
Oh.
Once that gas tube gets back into the receiver,
Well, I guess that's like a little like small convenience, right? Like that doesn't seem so bad. That is kind of interesting though. Of all things, but I mean, at least you can, I mean, there's definitely a lot of AR components in here, like a lot of those. So that would make it kind of nice.
Of all things.
And rightfully so.
Once that gas tube gets back into the receiver, it plugs into this guy right here, which delivers gas down into the bolt carrier, where it acts just like an AR-15. And you have a rotating multi-lug bolt right there. In the rearward position like this, it is locked. When gas comes in here, it expands the chamber inside there, which pushes the bolt forward and the bolt carrier back, rotates the bolt and unlocks, and then the whole thing cycles backwards. The bolt itself comes apart just like an AR-15 bolt. Can pop out the cotter pin, and then the firing pin, and then the cam pin, and then the bolt itself and the bolt carrier. So you can see gas sealing rings back here, just like an AR-15. Exactly the same style of bolt. That being,
I kind of like the simplicity of this too. Like, I mean, I have an AR-15, so I get it. But I kind of just appreciate simplicity and just kind of, like we don't have anything too crazy going on with this. And I feel like that's kind of important. It's kind of nice too.
Bolt itself and the bolt carrier. So you can see gas sealing rings back here, just like an AR-15. Exactly the same style of bolt.
Right.
That being said, the AR-15 has a bolt carrier that's about twice as long as the Daewoo's and a recoil spring here, which clearly isn't going to happen with the Daewoo. Right. So instead, they took an element from the AR-18. they cut the back half off of the bolt carrier and gave it a dual recoil spring system located above the bolt carrier so that this can all sit inside the receiver, and that allows you to have a collapsing or folding stock.
So this is where our hybridness comes in from the AR-15 and AR-18. I see it. I see it. I get it. I get it. That's kind of cool though. That's kind of a cool like innovation and way to take components and then now we have this K1.
Now, what's interesting about this, on the AR-18, these guide rods both went into or through holes in the bolt carrier, and they help to guide the bolt carrier. On the K1, they don't actually guide the bolt carrier at all. In fact, there is this little tab coming up off the top of the gas key. That is what actually interacts with the recoil springs, pushing backwards like this. So in the rifle, it is configured like that. And they also put
cool.
a little buffer at the back of the receiver to absorb whatever energy was left when the bolt hit its end of travel. There's a little coil spring in there. So
nice.
Just a little bit extra. As far as the fire control group goes, this is basically an AR-15 fire control group, except it does have a fixed ejector instead of the plunger ejector like the AR-15.
This doesn't look like it would be that crazy to shoot. I would love to shoot one of these. I mean, it looks like it could be kind of fun. It's pretty cool.
So there you have the Daewoo K1A1 in its American semi-automatic and slightly extended barrel form. These are still in use in South Korea. In fact, they fairly recently came out with the K1C update improvement, which allows mounting.
This one looks pretty cool. This one looks good too. I like this one. I think the same like Daewoo or what is it like S&T motos now. I think they do. I think they make all the gun accessories too, like sights and everything else. I'm pretty sure that they cover
These
that too.
are still in use in South Korea. In fact, they fairly recently came out with the K1C update improvement, which allows mounting of optics and other railed accessories to kind of bring the gun into the 21st century. No reason that it wouldn't still be quite good. This is a conglomeration of parts from a bunch of different and good ideas. The gas system from an AR-15, the bolt carrier and recoil spring system taken largely from the AR-18, bolt handle from the AK, sort of. It's all...
I mean, all in all, I mean, it seems like it is pretty solid. I mean, my liking of it was purely aesthetic, you know, so I actually didn't really know all of the ins and outs of this gun, but seeing that it's so much like it's very similar. It has like a lot of similarities with the AR-15, and then I do see that the AK components and the AR-18 parts of it, but I mean, it seems like it's pretty solid. It seems like it's pretty good. Yes, it just stays on my gun wall wish list.
The bolt carrier and recoil spring system taken largely from the AR-18, bolt handle from the AK, sort of. It's all good stuff that went into it. And the result was as good as the sum of its parts.
Yeah.
These came into the US market during the 1980s and early 1990s. There was a series of different importers that brought them in with a few different names. So they're under the AR-110C. Sometimes they're called the Max 1, K1A1, a variety of different.
I didn't realize it had the other names attached to them. That actually didn't know. So that's actually kind of interesting. I guess I've always thought it as like the K1.
So they're under the AR-110C. Sometimes they're called the Max 1, K1A1, a variety.
Right, K1A1, K1. That's like what I'm used to hearing.
Variety of different names, just depending on which importer and what exact version of the gun was being brought in. So there was this period in the 80s and 90s when a lot of relatively modern military rifles were able to be imported into the US as semi-automatic only firearms, and that ended by 1994. So unfortunately, it hasn't picked up since. So the examples of this that are on the market today are all the ones that came in 20 years ago. They are...
Well, you know, I mean, we know what happened in 92, so not that should have maybe shut that part that portion down, but still, you know.
Only firearms, and that ended by 1994. So unfortunately, hasn't picked up since. So the example.
I kind of hope it would, though. I really do. I kind of hope it would. I don't know. I guess for me, I think there's just like a lot of really cool firearms out in the world, like all over, you know. So I guess I feel like I always wish that like stuff like that would come back, especially for collectors and stuff.
Examples of this that are on the market today are all the ones that came in 20 years ago.
Yeah.
They are an interesting gun. I think a lot of people misrepresent them or misunderstand them as a rifle as opposed to a submachine gun, simply because of the chambering and the use of AR-15 magazines, when in fact a lot of the features on this gun really lend themselves more to a close-range submachine gun along the lines of an AKSU-74 rather than a proper rifle. At any rate, if you would like to have this one, take a look at the description text below.
I would, but I don't think I could afford one. Yes, I would, but I don't think I could afford it.
There is a link there to Rock Island's catalog page on it where you can see their description, their pictures, their price estimates, all that sort of stuff. And if you'd like to participate in the auction, you can do so right through their website. Thanks for watching.
Nice. So this was a short that had come up when I was looking through his Daewoo stuff, and he went to SHOT Show earlier this year, and there the S&T Motos was there, and so this is kind of cool. I'll let him talk too, but I had watched part of this already, and I think it was like June, so this past June, I think you could place orders, and it's this whole list that is here of all the Korean firearms that they were going to come be made available to us. So, but I'll let him talk too, because I think he might show a few other ones, but I think this is way cool. I don't know if there was, I don't know. I feel like out of this, what I was looking at it and I was trying to be like, oh, well, like what, like if I had to pick something that like I really, really wanted, I mean, obviously it would be the K1, but this K2C looks pretty cool too. I don't know. This, I mean, like I feel like and the K5 seems kind of cool because I was pretty impressed with that pistol. So I don't know. I mean, like if I was super rich, I'd probably have every single one of these. So.
All right, I'm back here at SHOT Show 2025 at the booth for S&T Defense, aka S&T Motive. This is the defense company in South Korea that you've probably never heard of, but they inherited the Daewoo rifle design. It's a company.
I also love how dapper he looks. He looks so handsome all dressed up. I love this. I love it. Good outfit, 10 out of 10.
They did $3 billion in manufacturing last year. They're a huge company, but they have basically no civilian semi-auto presence till now. They have decided to open a U.S. manufacturing facility and make eventually the whole line of South Korean firearms products. Starting, we're going to start taking orders in June of this year for the K2.
Yeah, I don't know, like if anybody is like if this was something like on your radar or anything like that, but if you did order something, let me know in the comments. I would love to know what you ordered because this is really cool and I will sit in my jealousy of it.
Classic, this guy, as well as the modernized K2C1. This is what South Korean forces are still using today. They're going to be offering these, as well as the K5 Daewoo DP.
God damn, I don't know what I like them. Let me have the whole list. Just let me have the whole list.
51 pistol and a short stroke AR pattern rifle that you can pick.
Ooh, see, okay, like that one looks nice too. I don't know. Like maybe I could pick like 5.
So unlike some previous attempts to bring foreign classic military rifles into the U.S., this one's actually being done at a large scale by the original manufacturer. And hopefully we'll see these before the end of the year.
That'd be so cool. I hope he got one. Like maybe he gets to shoot it because I think these are cool. I know I probably sound kind of biased at the same time, but I guarantee you I find all firearms very cool. So but I do have like an appreciation for this. And this list is very impressive. It's really impressive. So, I mean, Hell yeah.
It's really exciting.
All right. I really, really enjoyed this one. This was great. This is a great video. It definitely filled in a lot of gaps that I had on the K1 and K2 and understanding that, there we have like the different K classes, but it's not like what we thought it was. As somebody who, doesn't really know Korean culture, it's like I'm Korean on the outside, American on the inside type of thing. So, this was great. I really appreciated this a lot. And, I really just appreciate that he goes through the gun the way that he does because it gives me like a better understanding because I know like basic firearms things, but I definitely don't know a whole lot. So I kind of really appreciate the way that he goes through the gun parts and kind of explains like some of the pieces and stuff. Like, even if it's parts that like I know from like my experience and the firearms that I have, but it also like when I get to see something that is a little bit foreign to me, like I really do appreciate that part of it too. The K1A1 it's pretty sweet. I think it's pretty iconic for a lot of people. I know for me it is very iconic. And I maybe people that were older or that are old enough to know about the LA riots, that that's probably a very iconic firearm as well. Like everybody knows rooftop Koreans. So I really appreciated this. I really thought this was a really, really well done video. Ian is absolutely amazing. I really enjoy it. I feel like I'm in like a gun history class about like that specific firearm, and I just appreciate it because I feel like I can fill in a lot of spots that of like I kind of know this, and then he kind of like tells me the rest. So like that part of it's just really nice. So I just really appreciate him. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really appreciate you guys being here. Be sure to go and like and subscribe to Forgotten Weapons because he does it's just such an amazing job and his channel is just incredible. So please be sure to go and follow him, subscribe to him, whatever we say these days, and give him lots of support. But he is amazing. He's awesome. And that's going to do it for me. I hope you guys had a great day, and I will see you in the next one.